Hello again, everyone, and thanks to those of you that checked out the sports Q&A for this week. Appreciate that, and appreciate you clicking on this video and getting to hear me answer some questions about the real world and life and all of that other fun jazz and stuff. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. It's the Ask Jeff Weekly Q&A. Vinny's going to start us off by asking, and in the way that he always does, always got a challenge and always got a question, which can be both annoying and also greatly appreciated. You say to vote all of Congress out, but with who? So I will give you, Vinny, some very specific answers. Uh, and it's maybe not so much just people per se, but like principles. Uh, we should only vote in people that will make a commitment to passing constitutional amendments on things such as term limits, campaign finance reform, uh, with the agreement and understanding that if they don't get these things done and they were voted in for those express purposes, then the right remains at any time to recall them and kick them out and continue to flush out the garbage and the crap until we get people that will actually do the things that will help this country long term. With want to also have people in there that don't take any corporate money from big donors. Let's get that completely out of it. Like until we get to the place where we have campaigns publicly financed, we need to get the corporate bought, corporate sold people out of politics entirely on either side of the aisle. Like if your response to something like that is, well, this party or that, they all are. Shut up. You know what I mean? I don't mean that you, Vinny. It's just kind of like a general statement. Um, so people that will support term limits, people that will support that will actually fight for and get done things like term limits, that will sit there and fight for some of these other things, that will also commit to not becoming lobbyists once they leave office for a period of at least 5 to 10 years afterwards, if not forever. Because you see so often that a lot of these politicians are thinking about the next phase of their life, so they start cozying up to certain lobbyist groups and lobbyists, so that way they can be taken care of once they get out of office. Like the whole thing needs to be blown up. Like McConnell should be long gone. Pelosi, Schumer. It doesn't matter if they have a D or an R next to them. These people are in office way too long. It's stupid. Term limits need to happen. Term limits need to happen at all levels. That's both the House and the Senate. We should not have 30, 40-year senators or congressmen. That is ridiculous. We don't need Grandpapa that's 85 years old serving in the Senate where he's been the past 40 years. What the hell does he know about anything anymore? Vote him out. And shame on anybody, regardless of political affiliation, that continues to vote for this garbage. When you vote for this garbage, that's what you get in return is garbage. Also vote for people that are going to support changing the Constitution to impose term limits on the Supreme Court. 10 years, that's it. 1 decade is one thing, because at least you could say that transcends more than one presidency. But what we don't need to have are people that are still serving that were appointed by Bush 41 and William Jefferson Clinton. That is ridiculous. No. No more lifetime appointments. It's trash. Chase Oliver 68 asks, I was having this convo with a new person I'm training at my retail job. Her parents wanted her to pick up the job because they think it will improve her skills as a worker. I agreed with her parents. Do you think retail or food industry jobs help further down the line? First thing I would call out to that is it kind of concerns me that the parents wanted her to pick up the job instead of her wanting to pick up the job. I get what parents are trying to get at. I'm not saying they're fundamentally wrong, but that nest hovering crap can only work but for so long. At some point in time, individuals have to be self-motivated in order to go out there and go after it and get it. Do I think retail or food industry jobs help further down the line? Yes, but let me be clear here. Any job that you work, regardless of if you are picking up crap out of porta potties or you are the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, every job you have should be teaching you. Every job you have are opportunities to learn. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you are dying. And that is a fundamental fact. Every person that works, if you do not go to work every day and learn something new, then shame on you. You're not doing it right. If you don't look at every opportunity, every role, every job, every relationship, everything as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve and get better, then shame on you. You are not doing it right. So I completely agree. It is a great way to learn some of those things, but it does not need to be the only job that you think about that mindset with. We should be applying that mindset consistently across the board. Hey, it's me, Tetris asks, what do you do for a job and what did you major in college? Do you think your major had a big impact on your job career? I love the assumption that I actually have a college degree. No college degree. About a decade ago, I tried going back and made it through a semester and a half and was doing really, really well. Then, this is back like 2010. Then the relationship at the time I was in went south, and my passion for a lot of things in school being one of them, unfortunately, went south. So whereas I should have a degree at this age, I still do not. I would encourage anybody that has the opportunity to do it and do it now. So that way you get it done, get the hell out of the way, because they can never take it away from you. They can never take it away from you as long as you're at an accredited university. What do I do for a job? I manage a team that does regulatory monitoring for a major bank, meaning we check to make sure that we are adhering to regulations, adhering to banking and finance and credit card laws, lending laws, making sure that we're doing right by our customers, making sure that we're not misleading what we do. So it was one of those rare opportunities. While I was working for a bank, fundamentally, the thought of that used to kind of make my skin crawl a little bit. It's one of those situations where I actually feel like I get great value out of it. Like I can feel like there's actually a bit of a purpose there. So I do enjoy it quite a bit. But no college degree, no major. At Dave12345 asks, I've been trying to get a credit card and I keep getting denied. What are some ways that I can get approved for a credit card so I can start building up good credit? Number one, if you've continually been applying for credit cards throughout the past 2 years, stop doing that. Like, you just don't want to have that many inquiries that don't translate or correlate to an open trade line on your bureau, and just no. Now that said, you're asking how I've been trying to get a credit card and I keep getting denied. What are some ways I can get approved for a credit card so I can start building good credit? You could tackle a secured card. Secured card, you get the right one. You can do a bunch of different things. Like I've gotten a secured card, got a Discover It secured card. You put down your collateral, and that way it's there. That's your credit line. Automatic guarantee or automatic approval is not guaranteed necessarily when you apply for a secured card, but you have a much greater chance, especially because you're putting up the collateral. So it is definitely viewed as a much lower risk line for that lender. I would just simply say this is that do some research online, look at secured credit cards, look at other things like Self, does something where you can do kind of this loan that you'll pay against, where they're not really extending you any credit at all, but you are funding it as you go, and then eventually you either cash it out like it's a CD, or you can sit there and have it be an open line of credit. Like, get creative and research and do some of those different things. You can reach out to me on Twitter if you have more questions about this. But what you don't want to continue to do is continue to apply for cards the same way that you have been and expecting the results to be any different or be helpful to you in any way, shape, or form. At Keys 10, what would be 3 things you would do to stimulate the economy? I don't think the answer is either sweeping tax cuts or sweeping spending. Like, number one thing you would do to stimulate the economy is get better damn control over COVID. You do that, in the short term you suffer, in the long term you benefit from it. But of course we didn't do that. What we could have done I think stimulate the economy is maybe the wrong question. Like, to me, it is a fundamental betrayal of the public trust that you have officials in Congress, House, Senate, Dem, GOP, doesn't matter. They have the nerve, the gall, the balls, the guts, the nuts to sit there and take time off without getting a new stimulus deal done, without getting things done when people are literally struggling to survive. They're starving. They're homeless. They're losing their homes, losing their livelihoods. And they need a break. Screw them. What we should have done, maybe instead of stimulating the economy, instead of doing stupid PPP loans and doing some of the other stupid things that we do, exactly the type of thing that I would expect from a crooked Congress, a crooked president. Like, it doesn't matter the party. Instead of putting flat out restrictions on evictions and foreclosures and repossessions and those types of things, like we did other crap because we're stupid. We're gonna give people checks, and the checks are gonna do nothing because they never do anything. I don't even want to answer this question anymore. Thoughts on Pizzagate and all the QAnon shit flying around the internet? People with too much time on their hands piecing together things that don't really make sense. It's like, for every one conspiracy that is pretty valid and has really good evidence behind it, it makes people think that there are 5 others that don't. Yeah, I'm sure they'll get some of you raging in the comments. I don't care. It is what it is, man. Like, some conspiracies are pretty valid. A lot are not. People with too much damn time on their hands. People that want to rage against something. People that want to look for excuses as to why their life has not gone better. Some of it's just fun for them. You know, it's like, or it's taking one thing which is not good and then always having to try and justify it by saying it is something else, and that's not always the case. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Like the Pizzagate thing, that in and of itself seems to have been relatively debunked, but then you've got like the Epstein crap. Like, do we think that there aren't child pedo rings going through powerful circles in this country and around the world? Like, that would also seem kind of crazy to not think it. Like the Pizzagate thing in and of itself, like, it could be targeting potentially the right things in the wrong way. The one thing I will say for like the QAnon folks is, I think that's how you say it, and if it's not, I don't care. Like, what I don't understand is there's such a fascination on hating on people that deserve to be hated, in terms of the Clinton family, for example. But Trump and his ilk go unscathed. That makes no sense to me. If you're going to do it, if you're going to be crazy, kooky conspiracy, then at least do it consistently across the board. I promise you he is no different. I promise you he is no better. I promise you his family is no different and no better. I just don't get it. At Tranquil47, how much of a hilarious embarrassment will the presidential debates be between our incompetent candidates? Hilarious embarrassment or just tragic and sad? Like, one side trots out the pumpkin. The other side trots out the guy that's 4 years past his time. And you said, hey, you had 4 years to move on from the Hillary debacle, so you went with botching Biden. One guy says lots of hateful things. The other guy has actually supported and in some cases driven legislation through Congress over his decades as a senator that actually put in place the racist infrastructure that people want to protest on the streets now about. Who's worse? Who's worse? Oh, it's an embarrassment, don't get me wrong, but typical of this country, I would expect nothing less. And Johnny Thrust, who had a better debut album, Jimi Hendrix with Are You Experienced in 1966 or Frank Ocean with Channel Orange in 2012? I'm not really a music guy, but if you're asking me to compare Jimi Hendrix to anybody that's debuted in the past decade, I think you know what the answer should be, and it sure as hell ain't anybody that's not named Jimi Hendrix. Just saying. I can't wait to see what some of you guys say in the comments and you rage away at me. You know, great. It's wonderful. I encourage you to do so. Let's have some fun. Why so serious? Why so serious? Anyways, thanks everybody again for your questions. Look forward to doing it again next week. Subscribe, click the bell so that way you get notified of future videos. And I got more content coming in this week, so stay tuned.